This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Coming to you live from the charred remnants of Alderaan, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show with your hosts, Hassel and Monster. Monster, we'll be honest, brother, I am super sad this morning, a little bit hungover. And, started Friday night, our outer milder, these pesky fish jump over hurricanes. They took the old L in the playoffs. They got the tar beat out of them. Then my Georgia Bulldogs just getting beat Alabama and the refs last night. So so I'm going for the full trifecta. Like I'm hoping that the Atlanta Falcons can let me down one more fucking time this weekend. So I'll be like, I have Paul Bears in.
Well, before you get too sad and despondent, we're going to try to have some fun today. We got a special interview with our special guest, artist Mark Spears. He's going to be here sharing info about his new Kickstarter campaign for his monster comic series and just shoot the bull with us for a little bit. So, but before we get to that, since you started off already, let's go ahead and just do Geek Week because you've already started it off with all your sad news. So, what else have you had going on?
Well, other than that depression there, like everyone else, I did kind of watch Raw for the old Pepsi Field promo. Stayed up way too late for a pretty mild Pepsi Field promo. I'm like literally the only thing that wasn't just you could tell they hadn't done this to him already was at the end when he said, "I'm here to make money and not friends." Okay, cool, I got you. So am I. It happens. He wasn't on SmackDown. Roman Reigns, guess what? Not on SmackDown. It was pretty. I don't even remember LA Knight being on SmackDown this week. It was pretty.
He came out there and fought off with Solo. That's the only thing I saw.
You're correct. He did come out there and fight Solo off for the end shenanigans or whatnot. I don't know. Raw and SmackDown was pretty tame following the War Games.
Well, I expect them to kind of be going up until probably getting closer to Royal Rumble and stuff. But it's whether it's tame or not, they still, as Triple H said in his press conference, he's like him, love him, hate him, it doesn't matter.
People makes headlines. Yeah. I will say I did kind of get a little excited with the Cody Nakamura angle, the beginning of that right there. I love what they're doing with Nakamura, other than the fact that they're feeding him to people. I would like to see him start going over, but I mean, I don't want it's like you can't let him go over on Cody because Cody's got to have his momentum going into the Rumble, into Mania. If he's going to be built up for Roman again, if that's the way they're going. But you don't know how they're going because the shit with The Rock, that's gone now. Now the actors shits is over. The Rock's not going to be part of Mania. If he is, it's a small role. He won't be wrestling. So that frees Cody back up for that. But they've already teased the three potentials for CM Punk right now is the deal with Roman obviously would be a big match. With the wise man in the middle. So it's been referenced already. Then him and Seth, which would be the most logical of the bunch to free up more matches. Then there's also the potential him and Stone Cold because they said that Steve is actually open to a match with him. The match that we should have got about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I see him probably sticking with Cody and Roman and CM Punk and Seth makes the most sense to me.
You've wasted 2 years if you don't. I can say this. I mean, Cody needs to be built strong between now and then. He needs to go over Roman and needs to get the belt and let's move on. But I did like the whole Nakamura and him thing on Monday. Especially with the mist. I'm really digging that. I love how they give Muta love, but without giving Muta love. Everyone steals Muda's shit on Raw when SmackDown, but they don't just say, "Hey, the Great Shades of the Great Muda." Never. But beyond that, not a whole lot. I did go in for a few things on Black Friday, or into Cyber Weekend, Monday, however you want to put it. I did get a copy of Jedi Survivor on PlayStation 5 for like $11 because I had a few points.
That one was good.
It was Markdown.
It's not this. It's still fun, and I enjoyed it. I think the story wasn't as strong as the first one.
Really?
I still haven't finished it, but I got off on not playing for a while. Then I went to Spider-Man 2, and now I'm like, all right, I'm going to beat Spider-Man 2 100%. It. Then I'm going to go back to that. Hopefully on the Christmas week when I'm off for a little bit, I will hopefully be done with Spider-Man and be back to that because I'm about 60% through Spider-Man now.
Well, see, I didn't play the first Jedi. Well, it was Fallen Order. I did not play it. I was kind of on the fence. You got to buy too much shit to EA. So I don't fuck with them a whole lot. But then I heard a lot of good things about this game here, and I heard it was actually supposed to be, fans-wise, a lot of them were clamoring that it was better than the first. So I was like, you know what? I got some points. It's marked down.
It's
$11.
It's good. It's good. And I would maybe even say, yeah, it's game of the year to me right now is still Spider-Man 2. That's probably the number 2 game of the year to me. But I will say that I think the first one was just a little bit better because with this one, you start off with some of your stuff, but you still got to relearn more force powers and get your force powers. Like you got to have some way to develop in the game, right? Get new skills and all. But I'm like, it's picking up right where the first one left off. So I'm like, why would I have to redo all that? So that didn't make sense. But also it seems a little less like the first one when you're playing it. It's like you can't get out of it. You're like immersed in it immediately. Okay, just do. Don't want to turn it off. This one was like I could play a little while, and it's like, I can turn this off now. I'm bored a little bit. Not terribly, but just enough that's like it's not the same as the first one to me.
Fair enough. I'll find out. Right now, I'm still messing around with some WWE 2K. I did make me a NWO and a DX version, a Ravishing Rick, that I'm going to put into my universe mode. Not quite sure which faction I'm going to submerge him in just yet, but it's a fun what if. What if he never got injured and he was a member of both groups? So we'll see how that is. As far as my shopping, I did get, and it's far bigger than I thought. I got the Soundwave helmet for $33. So probably doing a review on this bad boy.
Did it hurt your feelings to see that Magneto helmet was down below 50?
It did. What hurt my feelings more was the fact that they had Megatron online for $29, but it was not deliverable to my area.
No, so I don't know what fucking still in the store.
Yeah, I don't know what fucking store in the U.S. it was at, but it was $29 because I was like, what the fuck? In Prime, he was not on sale, so that was a little sucky. And he hasn't arrived yet. I did go in for the Stealth Armor Iron Man. It was $45, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
Can't blame you there.
So that pretty much is my geek week.
For me, mine has been slow because I was out of town for the most part. Before I went out of town on the weekend, I did play some more Spider-Man 2, played some since I got back. Had a few toys trickle in, nothing that I've had any time to deal with because it all came in this weekend. I just got home for the weekend and I turned around and leave again on Monday. But a few new G.I. Joes. My General Hulk came in, Agent Helix. And I picked up a Shockwave in Target last night. Even though I've got 2 of them ordered, I went ahead and picked up one because I saw it in person because for whatever reason, that's one of those that the stores got first, and then everybody else who pre-ordered it online and got pushed back to like the end of December. So I was like,
yeah, I was surprised when I seen your pics. I was like, damn, how did he already get Hawk? Because I got the notification like mid last week, I guess it was, that Hawk and Ripper were be processing soon.
Yeah,
and it still hasn't processed. So I was like, when you posted the pics, I was like, damn.
That one came. So Agent Helix came out like 2 weeks ago on Big Bad, but I had pre-ordered them from Hasbro Pulse, and it didn't come until this week. Same with General Hulk. I didn't even realize it was coming out already because I thought it had been pushed back to like mid-December too. But no, I got the email and said, oh, it's shipped. I was like, okay, great. So I got home and had him, but Shockwave was pushed back to like December 15th. But in the store, just randomly in a Target yesterday, the kid found it for me. He went inside because we'll sometimes just pull out like, you go run inside, see if there's anything. If there is, I'll come in. If not, I'll circle the parking lot, pick you up. We'll get out of here. He goes in there. He's like, "Hey, they got Shockwave." I was like, "All right, I'll be in there." So I went and picked him up, and they only had one, so I bought it. But it was a really good box. So I went ahead and hung it up, and I can't be able to cancel one from Hasbro and get the other one here and open it. But I haven't had time to mess with any of those. And the other thing I ran into is that we went to a GameStop and I ran into the newest Superpower set, the one that's got the classic Nightwing where he's got the yellow on the chest and it's got the Rebirth Superman and Tim Drake Robin with a black cape instead of a yellow one. The only one I needed was the classic Nightwing, but I picked him up because he was in good shape. I'd seen him a couple of weeks ago in a different one, but the card was like ripped. It had a big tear that gashed into it, and I was like, nope.
That's kind of been the thing I've noticed with those. Like, I that's one of the few things our Walmart here in Fishtail does get is those there. Unfortunately, they're almost always damaged cards.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If they do the markdown, they put it right on the fucking card instead of the bubble. And it's like, what the fuck? So, and I know it's one of those rabbit holes to where if I ever start buying them, I have to have more. I can't just have one or two.
That's the same here. I wasn't going to buy that 3-pack with Judo Master and all them, and then I ended up buying it too, but whatever. The only other thing I've done is we did watch the two of the 3 Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials have been on Disney Plus. Me and the kid did watch both of those so far. I won't put any spoilers out, but they have been really good. I think the first one was good, but the second one, I don't know if you've watched it yet, because I know you asked about it.
I haven't got to watch the second one yet.
I thought it was better, but more so because it reminded me of watching that season with David Tennant and Catherine Tate as Donna Noble, but like they stepped back into those roles perfectly, but you can tell that they have changed writers and went back to the guy who was writing the show then, because the second special just reminded me of watching an episode of the show. I was like, all right, this doesn't even feel like special. This just feels like part of a season.
That's what's up, man. I'm going to check it out today. I did watch the first one, enjoyed it a lot. I will say you can tell that they've aged, especially Tennant. You know, he's a little more frail looking.
I didn't realize until they said on the show that it was like 15 years, because they're like, that was more than, she's talking about losing her memory. They're like, that was more than 15 years ago. And I looked at it, I was like, that must be in Showtime, because that doesn't seem like. Now I looked at it, I was like, yeah, it was that long ago. That
dude. Did you realize that the Day of the Doctor was the 50th anniversary?
Yeah, and now we're.
I was like, I literally did, and I was like, holy shit, he was already into Matt Smith finna get into Capaldi at that point.
Yeah, it just didn't dawn on me that it had been that long. But I'm like, crap, it has. But I will say that out of anybody who played that role in that, I did go on HBO Max because I didn't realize they'd posted The Power of the Doctor, the one where he regenerates into David Tennant, or she regenerates into David Tennant. So I went on there and watched that, and even though they had on there like the 5th and 6th Doctor, those actors are still alive, and they were on there and played like aged versions of themselves and stuff inside of the mine, and then they had some of the companions from older shows on there, and you realize how old they are, but you didn't. I mean, I just did not realize until I heard them say 15 years it had been, because yes, he looks aged, and so does Catherine Tate a little bit, but not that badly.
Yeah.
But I did watch that, and then I started watching, and I know Big Rob is watching this because I hit him up, told him to start watching. He's like, I've already got that in my save list, but I haven't started it. But there's a Netflix show called Obliterated. It is a action comedy, and it's supposed to be like I won't give any spoilers, but the synopsis is a special forces team has a successful mission, so they party, and then they find out the missions are not over, and they have to go out, but because they partied the night before and like really, really hard, like they were getting high and drunk and stuff, and like they are having all kinds of stupid stuff happen to them while they're on this mission. But it is hilarious to watch. But it's good action when they have action, but the comedy is just amazing.
I did watch almost everything with the last episode, I think, of the new Castlevania. I did catch that on Netflix.
That was really good. You would like Obliterated, but your other half would not. Because there is a lot of inappropriate humor.
Yeah, but she doesn't do well with that.
But I mean, and I don't want to give spoilers, so anybody who doesn't want to hear this part, this is one scene. I'm going to share this one, but this is just kind of the idiocy they run into. But because they're having to one of them is having to run up a flight of stairs to get to a penthouse, and it's a hotel or whatever. And because he was so high and drunk from the night before that he was running upstairs, he pukes off the stairwell, and then when he has to run back down the stairs to chase the bad guy, he slips on his old stuff and just tumbles down the stairs.
Oh my!
I mean, it's stupid humor like that, but it's funny.
I can get into that. It's got to be better than that gypsy show my wife is currently immersed in.
So Big Rob told me to watch that one too. He said it was actually not bad, because he said that's one of the ones that Melissa McCarthy was bearable in. I'm trying to find the right word there.
No, this is something about it's gypsy wedding, my big fat gypsy wedding, or some shit. It's a reality shits. Some of them are in Georgia. It's awful.
You know what? Drama. You said gypsy, and for whatever reason, my mind went to Jeannie, which is the movie that Melissa McCarthy is in that Big Rob told me to watch. So that was
she's hard. She's hard to watch sometimes.
It depends. It really does. But that's kind of been all my Geek Week. So, like I said, not a ton of stuff, but.
Well, before we jump into the interview, I know we're going to shoot over to the interview. I want to get your take on something. So it's, I know you're a little behind on your reading sometimes due to your schedule and the way your books fall. Have you seen the headlines where they've recounted Nightcrawler's origin? And Mystique is not only his mother, but his father.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I noticed that X-Men Origins Blue is coming out. I get my books on a monthly basis. So my last shipment actually just got here yesterday, but that covered up to, or not yesterday, it got here Friday, I think, but that covered up to prior to the week of Thanksgiving because they shipped it out a little early just because of the holiday. So I haven't gotten any books from the last week of November through now. So I haven't gotten that one, but I know it's out. But I've seen the Uncanny Spider-Man where she's like having weird memories of it. And I've got like I think I've got 3 or 4 issues of it. And I've read up the first 2 and like he finds her and she's having weird memories that don't line up to what he understands. But that's just her being groggy and talking to him. And that's all I've seen of it so far.
Okay. I was just curious. I said, I haven't read it. I just say, I keep seeing things online and on various Facebook pages that I follow and whatnot. And it pretty much comes out like she had shifted her DNA around. Basically, she's like, well, I'm a shapeshifter. You don't think I can change my, DNA and all this stuff? And pretty much it almost insinuated that she male organed herself up enough to inseminate Destiny for them to have Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but
that was the meat and potatoes of what I got out of it. And maybe there's more to it than that, and it's not quite as basic as that there. So if so, drop us a comment and let us know, because I haven't read it. It's just panels I've seen online.
I will tell you, even getting my comics in, the first few things that I have read, and I haven't read much because like I said, I just got them on Friday. I just got back to town and I've been busy, so I haven't read that much. I probably will the week I'm home again, but and this is a good lead into our interview, but the only things I really caught up on was Transformers, because I thought the first issue of it was okay. I'm not a real big fan of the gritty artwork of it.
Yeah.
I will say that I think the story wise it's kind of good because it's a little bit different. I did read issue 2 today or earlier this morning as we're recording on Sunday here, but I read issue 2 a little bit earlier. I did like how Duke was introduced in there, and that was kind of a cool little sneak preview thing for him. But the only other thing I've read and that I read religiously as soon as it gets here is the Power Ranger books, because they have been so good. And I say that's a good leeway because I think Mr. Spears actually did a cover for them for part of their newest storyline, which is called Darkest Hour. And that's actually the 2 of the parts I read was 2 parts of it, so 2 issues of it. But with that, I think I think we're probably ready. We're going to shoot over to a pre-recorded interview with him and just kind of catch up with him some and hear about his new Kickstarter, and then we will be back here to finish out with Nerd Out. And all right.
So welcome aboard, everybody. We have cover master extraordinaire, Mr. Mark Spears. You know him from Spawn, Power Rangers, and now he has his own series on Kickstarter right now as we speak, and he is at 91%, I believe, to go. Monsters. How you doing, Mark?
Doing good, guys. Great to see you guys again.
Oh, thank you for coming back on. It's great to have you back on.
David. I'm not seeing Gary, but but good to see David again.
Hey, this is the face that sells the place, anyways.
There you go, man. You got it. What is it? The face for radio?
Yeah, that's what everyone but my mother tells me.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been great. This is one of my favorite shows to do, man. Since last I talked to you, we were talking about Power Rangers back. When was that? July, I guess it was.
Yeah, it was early that summer.
So I did the Power Rangers cover, and it went to the New York Comic Con. It was an exclusive for New York Comic Con, it did so well. They asked me to do 6 more Power Ranger covers right afterwards. So I am up to, I've already turned in 3. I've got 3 more I'm working on. They're all the zombie Power Ranger covers.
Well, I was going to ask you because I seen one the other day, and I want to say it was a Blue Ranger, and I was like, I wonder if that's Mark's because I couldn't, I didn't see the marker on there anywhere, so I was like, wasn't quite sure.
Now the only one that's been released, the image would be the green one that I did. Blue is what I'm actually working on this week. I'm going to start on this week. I just turned in pink, and I've turned in the black Power Ranger and the Death Ranger, if you know who that is from the comics. He wasn't on the show, but the Death Ranger, I did that one too. So those, I guess, will be coming out early 24. Not sure exactly what time, what they save them for and stuff, but it's been fun. Each one I turn in, I think is the best one. So I'm hoping this next one will be even better. I get a little bit better at it. I try to scare the editors when I send it in. If they're sitting there going, man, that's scary, well, then I did a good job. That's what my goal is. But yeah, that's been a blast. I love working with Power Rangers. I would love to do a Power Ranger story one day, interiors and stuff. But I love working with Boom. I'm also working DC right now. I've done, is that my 9th cover? I think that was my 8th or 9th cover I just turned in today. So I want to say, I can't even keep up with it now. I think that's number 9. Because I was telling my wife, if I could do 3 more, I'll have a comic cover in 2024 every month coming out from DC.
That's what's up right there.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool thing. When I first turned in my DC covers back in August, those were going to come out about a year from now, about a year from August. But lately, the ones I've been doing are going to come out a lot sooner. Like I just turned in something that'll be out in April, in May, and then I think also in June. And then they also released an image. It's on the internet somewhere. World's Finest annual cover. It's coming out in January, so it's already been solicited through I don't even know who DC uses anymore. Penguin or Lunar.
Lunar, I think.
Lunar. Okay. What's weird is I'm scrolling on Facebook and I see this ad for my cover, and I'm like, what? And I click on it. They're charging $110 for my cover at some stores. So it's a 1 in 50. So that's one reason, it's harder to get. But I'm like, wow, they're advertising it. I'm like, man, they must think that's going to sell. So that's a neat thing. Good feeling to know that they used it to do their ads with. But yeah. So DC, man, I'm working with them. Love DC. Spawn. Just talked to them today. I got 4 covers turned in to Spawn that will be out next year, hopefully more. And then we were talking about that project. Me and Todd McFarlane are doing something together where he's going to write it, and I'm doing the interiors and the covers. And it's still a go. And they're saying because I was asking them, should we start? And they're saying first of next year, so after New Year's. So I could take a little break to finish up the Power Rangers, and then for first next year, start on the Spawn thing. So that's very exciting, Todd. I just did a thing with Todd. He's been talking about it. Starts tomorrow. It's like a digital NFT thing, but it's a drop on Odd Key. And Todd took some of my paints that I did for him. It was Monolith and She Spawn. If you ever you probably heard She Spawn if you heard of Monolith. But I did those 2 characters. I got to pick whoever I wanted. I picked those 2. Todd then took that and inked it. He just turned down the opacity and inked over it. Because I thought he was going to have to ink my pencils. But no, he just inked the actual paint. And it looked amazing. To have a picture where it says Spears McFarlane on it and it's Todd's inks on something, man, that was a dream come true. I'm going to get that blown up poster size.
That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah, honestly, if I do nothing else in my career, nothing at all, that one picture is exactly what I wanted when I was a kid, right? Todd McFarlane to eat something of mine. That would be the dream. And so I accomplished that. So yeah, I'm having a great end of year right in this time. You know, that's coming out tomorrow, that drop with Todd. And then, like I said, we're going to jump into that project with Spawn. I can't wait for that. And then, like you said, the monster stuff, man, that's went over really well. I was doing a cover when I announced that, let's see, I think it was on Halloween that I was going to do the Kickstarter. I already had the artwork done for the issues, but I didn't have many covers done. I only had like 2 or 3. So I was doing a cover or a cover and a half a day at that time. I got up to, there's 36 covers that we have. But it's a whole 8-issue run. So it's, some of them have a bunch. Number 1 has a lot of covers, but some of the other ones only have 3 covers. Did a lot of homages. People are going crazy over the homage covers. Those look great. I love those. And we are real, man, we're like $2,000 away from being funded, I think. 2,500, something like that. So hopefully we still got 3 weeks just about. So hopefully this week we'll be funded and ready to go. And then I'm also looking at doing distribution and retail with that. Because I don't want it to be just a Kickstarter, only. We're looking at maybe, it'll be new covers, maybe condense the book down a little bit. Because I'm looking at maybe on the Kickstarter book, and then number 1 will be about 40 pages of actual story.
Wow.
So because somebody was that I'm talking to about distribution, they would say, "Hey, can you send me the PDF? I need to see it." And I said, I do it almost like a movie. I do extra artwork and then I'll cut it down. Like if I go, okay, I don't need that page, or I'll try to move it somewhere else. But I got 40 pages right now in issue 1 and 30 in issue 2 of just story, not anything else. So and that's probably fine for Kickstarter because I can do whatever I want. It's my book. Yeah. But now if I go distribution, they might be like, hey, you need to have it a little bit thinner, to get out and have a good price on it. So the one that goes into comic stores and the one on Kickstarter might look a little bit different that way. Some of the story might be cut a little bit, or it might be more slicker, or what was in issue 1 will end up being a little bit of that in issue 2. Not sure, but I'll work on
it. From an 8 to a 12 issue arc, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. So actually, I could see it as ongoing. If I get the right distributor, because I'm talking to a few publishers right now, if I can get it to where they will say, look, Mark, we'll let you run with it as long as you want, I could see it going 50 issues and have it monthly. I think I could, something like, a special thing happens like the Spawn thing or something, it might delay me a little bit, but I think I can still, if I have enough lead time, I think I can get 9 done, issue number 9 and 10 before everybody gets 1 through 8 on Kickstarter. I think I could go ahead and have those 2 issues done. So, but yeah, I didn't want to continue doing it. I'd love it to be monthly, or if we had like maybe 10 issues out a year, that would give me a couple of months to do other things too, if I needed to do something for other company. But I love it because it's my own story, my own characters. If I want to kill off somebody, if I want to focus an issue just on this other character, I can do it. There's just something to be said about being your own boss. It's just so nice, and not having to ask permission. Can I do this to this character? Or can I, focus on this other one right now? And so I love doing the storytelling on it. That's great. I just I want to reach more people with it. I think we only have about 150 backers. To do that and almost hit 40,000 is pretty good. That means we're doing large amounts per backer. But I would love to have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 backers to where more.
Well, there's so many different cool options you can get. Because I was looking at your tiers last night, and I was like, "There's just so many cool things." I could have went down a rabbit hole real quick, and I could see myself doing this. And I was like, "Holy shit!" Because it's really neat. So did they get all 8 issues at one time? Is that how that was working?
Yeah,
or
somebody, and I don't think I made it good and clear, because somebody wrote me today and asked me again that, and then I think I changed the Kickstarter to where on the very top it says that. Yeah, they're getting all 8 day one. So basically, because I looked at it as it's like streaming, right? A lot of people want them like I want them all. We got a binge.
We got a binge.
Binge. And I was like, that's what I'm going to offer. And I think a lot of people misunderstood that when I say issues 1 through 8. They go, oh, he's going to take a year to do that. Nope, it's already done. Honestly, I would have it for everybody probably by February if it wasn't for, I have to get a letterer. And I got to make sure that letterer does exactly what I want, on everything. So I might have to add a page here or there to make sure we can fit all the text and everything. So that's why we're looking at like a May distribution for the Kickstarter. It would be earlier. And plus, there's going to be some people who have already ordered the CGC parts. So what I want to do on that is I'll get those in early, say March. I'll get those books in that I know, like, okay, the 100 people got the CGC. I'll get those in, already send them to CGC, get them fast tracked, get them back by April. So everybody gets their books at the same time. Because I didn't want, John over there to not get his because he got CGC and have to wait 2 more months. Well, Bill over there got them all. So everybody the week of release will either get their digital copy, their physical copy. With shipping, I got to, some people will probably get theirs a little bit later than others because of shipping. But when it's released, everything's released. The CGC, the digital, and the physicals. But yeah, it's all at one time. And the second question I get asked a lot, did I do the whole book? Yeah, I did the whole, each issue. Because a lot of people, you go into a comic book store, you go, man, that cover looks great. You pick it up, it's not the inside, it doesn't look the same.
Yes.
So,
that 90s Marvel effect on you.
So you're like, oh man, but no, every single page is me. No one else did them. I wrote the stories. I did the interiors. I did all the covers. So that's the biggest questions I get. But yeah, in all 8, you're getting them all at one time. It's a complete story, but it's a cliffhanger at the end of 8. I got to keep you interested. I look at it as it's a season 1, right? If this was a TV show, 1 through 8, season 1. And then the next season would be 9 through, I don't know, however, 16 or something like that, or 15. But I look at it as it's like a TV show. And I want to keep going because I think you'd get hooked if you did it. But a lot of people on my Kickstarter, I see them buying a lot of issues and they're only buying number 1. And I'm like, well, they're not going to read that. They're getting it. They're gonna put it in a CGC, or they're gonna put it in something and then put it away. But I might even try to do something. Somebody was talking to me about it. Put like maybe half of issue 1 online somewhere for free. Because my biggest thing was, the reason I did it was for the story. I wanted to share the story, the artwork of the story. So I might do that to try to get people to maybe want to read it. Right now, I was thinking even of giving people the PDF of the number 1 without the words in it, for Christmas. I thought about doing that, like sending them out, but there wouldn't be enough time because it ends Christmas Eve night. The Kickstarter does. And I might want to swap up some pages. Like I said, there might be number 1 issue to me really needs to grab you, right? That needs to be the best episode or comic that you got. Because if you lose number 1, if they go, yeah, it's okay, you might not want to even continue on. Yeah. So I might move some things around to make sure a lot of characters are shown in that issue, that, all your favorites are there. So you can go, oh, okay, there they are. I get to see this and that. But so, man, I would even probably make it 50 pages if I could. It just depends. With the printing and everything, I think I could add probably 10 more pages. It wouldn't cost me too much more money. But I do want to grab people and get their interest with issue 1. And I'm hoping they'll read the whole thing. I do have digitals online too. to where I think you can get for $40 you can get all 8 issues. So that's $5 a piece. And I did that just in case, like, hey, maybe you want the physical, but you want to also read it, and the physical you don't even want to crack open. Well, there's that option. So, but yeah, I got lots of options on there. In the way, I had so many rewards and everything. The way I had to do it was when you go to the Kickstarter, there's issue 1s. That's with the rewards and other things, like you can buy like all of cover B or all of cover A's, 1 through 8. You can get them all CGC'd, all things like that. But I did that to where you can't go on there really and just say, I want issue number 2. That's all I want. I didn't fix it up that way because it would have been so many rewards. Your screen would have just had to keep going down and down, down. So I did it as those are all add-ons. Issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, all add-ons. So because I figured you'd want to start at 1 at some point. Get an issue 1, then you can get an issue 2. That's all you want. That's all you have to get. $20 is for an issue. I looked around. I thought, well, that's about right. Some people are doing 25. I thought, well, 20 is not too bad. I'll do 20. I only had one person complain, saying that was kind of high. Because these are exclusive covers. So that's another thing. If I get distribution in a comic book store, these covers you'll never see these again, only on Kickstarter. And the print runs are only going to be for what's on Kickstarter. So if you think about it, man, there's nothing out there right now. If the Kickstarter, say we get about 300 backers, the books will be less than probably 200 print run on all of them. So they're going to be very, very rare, no matter what, because there's just no way we're going to hit 2,000 backers within in 3 weeks. Maybe we get up to 500 backers. You never know. But again, I think that would probably be about 200 printed of each issue. Right now, I went the other day and looked at it. I think the most we have of any issue right now that I would have to print is 30 copies. So that's very, very low. So and then I also have some on there that are going to be signed and numbered on the back. Like I'll put 1 of 66, 2 of 66. So I made sure those are on it where the print run. But these other ones are going to be very low. So it's I look at it as I did a Vampirilla comic last year, cover 500 print run. Those were selling cover price was $20 on eBay. So I was looking at it like that. Very low print runs, $20 is not too bad of a price on it. So yeah, I would advise other people, like if there's a favorite homage cover or if they just want to issue 1, man, $20. That's not bad. Maybe it blows up.
That's more than fair.
Yeah, maybe it blows up. You never know. In 10 years, it'll be like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Wouldn't you like to go back and have a bunch of those #1 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Man, one of the ones I would like to be able to go back and do that and have the foresight with was Walking Dead. Like literally, I will never forget walking into my local comic store, and the guy that was running at the time was like, "Hey, dude," because he knew I was in a horror. He said, "You're gonna want to get this," and it was an E&D. It was in black and white. I knew it was with the image, but it was still like black and white. And I was like,
"Yeah,
I was an art snob. I was like, it's black. I ain't fucking with that."
I'm
and then like,
yes.
Now that book goes like $10,000, and it's like,
I was the exact same way. I didn't pick it up because it was black and white. If it had not been black and white, I probably would have got it.
I would have easily went in for it because the art wasn't bad, but it was like black and white, and I was just like,
it was black and white, and I was like, I'm not, because I remember getting a lot of the only thing black and white I probably even read back in the last 20 years would be like Bone, that book, because it was beautiful. But I was like, black and white comics is not, it's not even like shaded gray or nothing. I have to take like manga books. I'm okay because they're like, they're got the little tones and all that. I'm okay with that kind of stuff. But it was just black and white, and I was like, it just looked cheap to me, like cheaply done. So it was like, I'm not gonna. And now
being black and white, I was worried it wasn't going to be with like a couple of issues get canceled because the image is terrible about that at one point. So I was like,
yeah. And then and look at what it did. The first couple issues not selling great, and it started building that audience, right? And then everybody wanted those first issues, and then that skyrocketed.
Now it's a global phenomenon.
Oh man, yeah. If I could go back and get about 10 of those books, yeah, I guess I've learned now if it's black and white. I remember seeing the Turtles in a comic book store when I was little.
Mm.
And so there somebody was trying to say he should buy this. I'm like, because it was black and white. And I was like,
yeah.
I was just like, because I'm a kid, I want something colorful. And I'm like, nah, I'm passing up on that. Man, I wish I'd have got that.
I'll take that way with Spider-Man over there instead.
Exactly. I did. Oh man. And yeah, I tell you, if I could go back in time, there's a lot of books like that I would have, man, I remember having so many, because I owned a comic book store for about 5 years back in the early 2000s, late 90s. And man, we had Deadpool first appearance, of New Mutants 98. We had tons of those cover price, right? Nobody bought them at that time. And now, I mean, man, if I had about a box of 50 of those.
Yeah, that movie blew that cover up tremendously.
Well, I was always told back even when I had the store, comics will never be valuable again like they used to be, right? That's what they would tell you after the big boom, of the Image and stuff. They said, comics will never recover and never go up in value like that, right? Spawn 1 will never be worth anything because there was too many printed. Well, man, those things are worth something now, though. I mean,
yeah.
Just give those years away, now from now to then, which has been 20 years, man, Spawn's worth. So I would love to have a CGC Spawn #1. I can't afford it. I've been looking at some, and I would love to have Deadpool's first appearance CGC'd. There's a lot of books like that I would love to get. Of course, Walking Dead, Invincible. Man, I love that TV show Invincible too. That's good.
Badass.
But yeah, man, there's so many comics out there now that still defied the thing where people thought, they won't be worth anything. There's too many printed now, but they actually still are worth something. It's just like action figures, man. What you got behind you, 20 years from now, those things, people right now, they're not going to be worth, like your Gung Ho and Destro, right? They'll be like, that's not going to be worth much. 20 years from now, man, they shall. Man, I'm trying so hard. It reminds me of the G.I. Joe, trying to get into Skybound, doing a cover, because that G.I. Joe stuff is great right now, man. I really want to be a part of G.I. Joe. I would love to do Transformers too as well, but I don't know how good I can do robots. I would try though, but I'm sure that would be a little bit hard. But I would love to do a Cobra cover or a G.I. Joe.
I was just going to say your style just screams Cobra. I'd love to see that.
I wrote them about Cobra Commander #1 that's coming out. I think it's coming out in this month or next month, and this is back in July. And they said, yeah, we'll keep you in mind, but they didn't do anything. But man, I would love to do that. Those properties, I grew up with those. I would do it for free. That's how great I love Cobra and G.I. Joe. I mean, it would just be a thrill. The Dreadnoks, Zartan, Destro. There's so many great bad guys in Cobra. I just love it. But maybe one day, because that's a huge series right now that's doing really well. Again, I
hope they'll take you up on it because they're doing really good with the stories too. I just got the an advanced copy of Transformers 3 to do a review for Geek Network, and I'm liking what they're doing with it so far. It's pretty interesting.
That's what everybody's telling me. They're saying that they're really good. So I haven't even picked up my copy yet. I got to go get one. I got somebody holding 1 and 2 for me. But dude, that's what I'm hearing is like, not only is it popular again, which is interesting because when IDW had the property, it wasn't as popular at that time. They have like made it hugely popular, and it's good, which is two big things at one time. I'm hearing comic book stores are saying people are walking in off the street saying, hey, I've heard Transformers and G.I. Joe started over. with Skybound, and I want them. So it's doing good business for comic book stores. But yeah, man, if I could get that, I'm going to keep harassing them until they give me a job over there. But yeah, that's what I've learned is it's harassment gets you the work finally, or they just it block you on emails. It'd be one of those two.
That might be where we what we need to do, Monster with Howard Mackey. Just keep harassing him. We'll get there eventually.
There you go, man.
So, what can you tell us? Like, I've been looking at the art of for Monsters, and it is like amazing. But you've got some of everything there. You've got Dracula, you got the Wolfman, you've got the brides who look amazing and spectacular. You got Frankenstein. You've got what looks to be like kind of like a monster squad, and then you got the Slayer. So,
yep.
Are there certain alliances? Like, are all the monsters together, or does some of the monsters fight with the good guys? How does this kind of transpire? And over what period of time? I see some black and white that look like maybe Dracula and the Slayer might have fought at a different time.
Yep.
And then maybe it's back up into the 80s or so, or maybe current time now. And
yeah. Okay, so without giving too much away, because that's another thing. If you like mysteries and twists, I'm a big fan of that, right? I love it when I'm watching a movie or something, and at the end, if it's a smart movie, I'm like, I didn't see it coming. It was there. I love rewatching a movie and say it was there all along and I missed it. That's
like when Jigsaw gets off the floor in the saw.
Yeah, exactly. Because I started rewatching that right after that happened, because I'm like, how did I miss that?
So you're watching the whole time, like, fucker's breathing at something.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a big fan of that, and I wanted to bring that to this. I also like, so basically anything I'm a fan of, I threw it all in the pot, mixed it up. Game of Thrones, right? I love the Game of Thrones. Of course, the later series was not as good, but so basically I have factions, like you're saying. Some monsters are not together. You'll find out some of them are. And there's going to be betrayals, and then there's so basically I have the main time period is the 80s. It's early 80s, and that's where the main focus, I would say 90% of the story is. Then you have these you'll have a flashback to the 1890s, which that's the black and white, the Victorian era. And I did that to where, because a lot of people love the black and white. When I do the cards, I do a version in black and white. People really love those. And I was like, that would be interesting. But I actually painted it originally. So it's all in color. But then I decided to go back and fix it in black and white, and actually repaint a lot of it in black and white. Not just put a filter over it, because if you put a filter, some of the things don't show up right. So I had to redo some of it. I thought, man, the black and white really looks old classic horror to it. And so I decided to go with that. Then there's another time period set, I want to say around the 1300s. And it's about a wizard and his apprentice, and they're monster slayers. So it all will tie in together eventually, right? You just don't know how. But you will see by issue 8 what story was I telling there, and you'll get to see. But so you have that, which is you might get 1 or 2 or 3 pages of the monster slayer sorcerer and his apprentice every issue. You don't get a lot of that. It's just it's filling you in basically in flashbacks of something. And then but the main story, you do have all these classic monsters. So you'll have all the ones that you grew up on, your Draculas, Frankenstein, Creature, Igor, Hyde, all those guys. And then I also have this other bad faction, I guess you would call it. It's kind of like my Cobra. I call them the Overmen. And they're from like set in the 80s, but these guys originated from Germany in World War II. Right, they used to be like Nazi special like group formed to basically make super soldiers. So they're out there too. That's where, if you've seen the There's like a ninja I have, and he has these markings on his mask, and that's the Overman logo. So I have them, and they're connected a little bit. They're to the monsters too. That's you'll have to discover that. But so there's people like that in there. And then the Monster Slayer is there as well. And he's the protagonist, but there's a couple others, some detectives. But so I got a little bit of everything. Some things you haven't seen yet, and I'm thinking about revealing more of the pages. I'm just trying to be careful not to give too much away.
Yeah.
Spoil too much. But then again, you gotta let people know what it's about at least. So there is some science fiction in there. It's 80s science fiction though. Where it's like if you remember $6 Million Man and Maskatron and all that kind of stuff, where you take the face off. I got a guy in there like that, where you take his face off and it's like computer chips. Because I love that. So I wanted science fiction. I wanted fantasy. So I got my dragons and sorcerers and monster slayers in that. I've got let's see. Of course, I got my superhero stuff. There's some superhero elements to it. The Monster Slayer is kind of like a superhero, maybe like Batman. Batman doesn't really have powers. The Monster Slayer, I'll say he doesn't have powers. I don't want to go on record, but I'll just say maybe he doesn't have powers or anything either. But basically the synopsis is the Monster Slayer is formed from a group of Monster Slayers. Years and years ago, for hundreds of years, they've been like defending the earth from monsters. And he's the last one. And he did stop Dracula back in the 1890s. Something happened from 1890 to now in the 80s that made him retire. He was done. He didn't want to do it no more. Couldn't do it. But he gets a call from someone that something is happening, that Dracula's back, and he's like, okay, and he has to suit up one more time, but he doesn't want to. So he's basically a reluctant hero. Doesn't. So it's basically, honestly, the hero's journey is kind of in this too. So he suits back up. We've got there's also some mysterious murders going on in this town, in this county, and these detectives are investigating it. And there's like cattle or ending up dead, and they're finding those. They can't figure out what's going on because they don't believe in monsters, right? In the normal, in this universe, there is no like vampires or anything like that. No one believes in that stuff. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, who's killing these people. Some of the people that are being murdered are tied into this big company that's just moved into town. So the detectives are having to talk to them and trying to figure out what their connection is, what's going on. And you got the ancient vampire, which we'll call Dracula right now. He's after something. He's come back and he's in this small town hiding because he's trying to get something. And we'll call it a relic, an artifact. And once he gets that, that's what he was after years ago before he got stopped. So he's after that again. And the Monster Slayer has to stop that. There's also, which I haven't focused on much in the online and stuff. I think there's some pages out there. I would say maybe 30% of the story falls on about some kids, because I love Goonies. I love, movies like that growing up. So I have these 3 kids that just are in the wrong place at the wrong time, see something they're not supposed to. Wolfman comes after them, and it's a big thing. And, do they get saved? Do they not? You'll have to see. You have to read it. But so I got all those elements in it. It worked out. It all gels well. And I think when you get to issue 8, after the twist and after the mysteries revealed of a lot of things, I think it's people will be happy and they will get in line for number 9. They'll be like, man, I'm ready. I got to have the issue 9 to see what happens. So But yeah, a lot of genres, and usually when people try to sell you on that, like, man, my book's got everything. It's got romance. It's got science. It's not good.
This book literally does.
Yes, but this one really, it basically, like I said, I took everything that I like and I said I'm going to put it in this. And I didn't have like an agenda setting out to go, well, I have to tell this type of story or this type of story, or I want to. It wasn't like I got to make it horror or I got to make it superhero so it'll sell or I have to make it this or that. I just sat down and said, what would I love to have in my lap right now reading? And what would make me sit there and go, oh, man, that's awesome. And that's what I did.
Well, it looks amazing from what I can see. And I blame you for the rabbit hole I went down for about 2 hours Friday night because Friday, I was, checking out your Kickstarter and I was looking at the art and whatnot, and I was getting excited. And then, I got to really dig in the look of the Slayer. And I was like, he reminds me of something from, when we were kids. So I instantly started texting Monster and Mr. Mittens. And I'm like, hey, do you remember this old Sega game with this dude? He had a hat, he had some swords. And it was like, I know what you're talking about, but I can't. So, I'm for 2 hours, I'm going through trying to find it. And it was Chicon.
Oh man, I gotta go look. How do you spell it? Because I gotta find.
Hold on, let me give you the proper spelling because I will foobar that. CHAKAN.
And it was a video game. Oh yeah.
Sega Genesis.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
By the time I seen him, I was like, I know. I was like, this reminds me of something. I was like, this looks both badass.
Dude, that is great. Yeah, I never saw that. Is awesome. The way it came about to me, the way I designed it. When I first started putting them online, people it just infuriated me. But I said, oh, you know what? I can't let things affect me online. I would post them online. It looks the exact same as it does now. And people go, that's Cad Bane. I'm like, man, I ain't Cad Bane. He's got red eyes. It's the only thing. And they're like, I said, he's got a mask on. I don't understand. No, Cad Bane. This is Cad. And I had multiple people saying that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But what happened was I originally had a character and he was called Mr. Mystery. And I did that when it was in the original trading card series 1. When the guys who made the Toys That Made Me on Netflix, have you ever seen that? They did, and they've done all kinds of documentary about toys and movies and stuff. Well, they licensed my characters. They wanted to make from series 1 trading cards to make comic books, action figures, and to try to get a TV show. So I did an agreement with them to where they basically had like a shopping agreement where they could take it around and try to do this stuff. And they was supposed to have it for a year, and then they got me to sign an extension for 3 years, and nothing was getting made. We came very close to doing the figures. We already had the concepts done. They were going to make them. And then they got the RoboForce license and decided to do RoboForce figures. That's the ones they ended up doing. So they were actually going to make a Mr. Mystery figure. The 4 they was doing in Cyborg 6000 and Queen of Hearts, and then my Dr. Frankenstein figure. They were going to do those. And so basically I was in a spot where I knew I was wanting to do the comic eventually. And I was like, I don't have access to my guy, the number 1 character, which was going to be Mr. Mystery. They didn't license my monster ones, like my vampires and all that, because they said anything based on something else they didn't want to license. So they only got my original ones, which made it really hard. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? So I was like, well, there's nothing in the contract that says like the guys can't have a brother or a guy that looks just like him or another version of that. So I started messing around with it. And I was going to have like another character like Mr. Mystery. Well, so I started messing around with colors and what I could do with the mask. And I basically came up with a better version of Mr. Mystery, and that became the Monster Slayer. A lot of people were like, what's his name right now? They call him Slayer in the comic. That's how they're referred to him, because they're all monster slayers. Will he have a name? Maybe it be revealed. I don't want to say. Maybe it's in the first 8 issues. But
please tell me you're going to call him Simon. I'm just saying.
Simon.
Yeah.
It could. I don't know. But so he the look, I actually perfected it from Mr. Mystery, and I was now, but I do have the rights to all the characters back now. They gave me the rights back, so. But I like this character better, and I was like, I'm going to use this one. A lot of people compare him to Zorro too. So basically, it looks like a mixture of that guy that you was talking about from Sega Genesis, maybe a little Zorro added to it, maybe a little Cad Bane. I don't know. But also, my character, you'll never see him without his mask. I made that agreement up front because I can't stand it when you have a masked character and then you see them without their mask. You might as well never put the mask back on. Doesn't matter anymore. I already know what they look like. So my guy, you will never see what ethnicity he is. You'll never see the color of his hair. He has that mask on. You don't know. Is he bald underneath? Is he scarred up? Is he an alien? Is he a monster? You'll never know.
This is the way.
Yeah, that's exactly the Mandalorian. I love the way they did it, and then of course they show the mask. You know what? The last episode of that season, I'm like, So I'm for that. I'm like, I think you just when you take that off when I remember being a kid and when I saw Darth Vader take his mask off, I was like that. It just changed it. I loved it when I never knew what Boba Fett looked like when I was a kid. And Empire Strikes Back. Because your imagination is going to always be better than what I could ever show you.
There's something about that mystique, and I know that was one of the things that, like, what Alfred Hitchcock would play with when his horror movies was like he would do cutaways, because your mind can visualize something far worse than what he could put on the screen. Is what he always said. Yeah. And a mystique, once you pull it from there, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
I tried to do the exact same thing. I studied a lot of Hitchcock stuff, a lot of documentaries and books. And it's weird in comics. A lot of people go, man, I want to see, they say show, not tell and all that. But it's also a thing where if you have this big battle and you know it's going to be, there's almost no way to create it, you might as well cut away from it and come back and show what happened. Like the dead bodies on the floor. And I do that sometimes in the series because I'm like, your imagination of what those vampires did to these soldiers is going to be a lot better than what I could draw for it. So I do a lot of that. I try to do a lot of the suspense. Hitchcock was such a master of tension and suspense in a scene. So I try to do a lot of that. So yeah, on the Monster Slayer, again, never be seen. I think he's really cool. Is there other Monster Slayers out there? I'm not going to go on record on that. You might see more. There's other heroes in the series. You'll see those. I think I've put out like one of the covers. I think it's New Mutants 100 homage. You can see like a kind of a superhero kind of team. So they're going to show up a little bit in the series. I didn't want to make it too drastic to where you're watching, like I pretend it's a TV show and you're watching it and you're like, why is that there? That just doesn't make sense. So I really wanted to keep the horror elements, but then I do like if it feels right with the story and feels right with that universe to have some because supernatural stuff. You can have like superhero stuff. I don't have like a Superman or a, somebody dressed up and things like that. There's actually
more like Unbreakable kind of.
Yes, exactly. Because there's going to be people if there's going to be people with supernatural abilities like a werewolf and a Frankenstein and vampires, then there's also going to be the opposite of that, right? That maybe it's a guy who has this ability, kind of like mutants have. But he doesn't go around wearing an S on his chest. So that's kind of how I looked at it. Is there's even a conversation where the kids are talking as they're traveling to this old man's house or trying to to go spy on this old guy. Part of the plot is one of the kids is trying to sleep at night. He's watching Night of the Living Dead, and he looks out his window and sees old man Crowley looking at him from across the street. But old man Crowley's been dead for a month. So the next day he tells his friends, he's like, we got to go check out his house. Something's going on. So they're like, let's do it. So they go out and go on this little trip adventure to go over to his old house and see what's going on. And that's where they find him there, and they start running away. They got to call the police. They go to a gas station. Something happens there. I'll probably release some of those pages here in the next couple of days so you can kind of see it. I also tried to make it to where even without words, you can kind of read the story, right? Words will make it even better. But if you can read it without the words, I think I accomplished something there. But the kids have a conversation about superheroes, saying like, do you think, the superheroes exist? And one of the kids got to go like, hey man, if there was a flying man, everybody would hear about that, and so I have some humor in it too. But they'll talk about superheroes, and they'll be like, but I know bad monsters exist, but they're talking about monsters like bad people. So wouldn't superheroes exist if monsters exist? And so I touch on that a little bit with the Monster Slayer and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I always wanted to tell stories. I think I got more into drawing so I could tell stories. And I try to tell them when I do covers the best I can, So this is just, it's so fun to me to sit down and go, where do I want to take it now? And what direction does this go in? So it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to get feedback from it when people start reading it and go, wow, I didn't like this and I like this, because I'd like to see like, what did they not like? Because you're never going to please everybody. But hopefully overall it's a pretty decent story and they'll enjoy it. I know back in the Image days, if I picked up anything Image that like Spawn or Youngblood or something like that, Wildcats, the story was here. I bought it for the art up here, right? Yeah. If the story wasn't that good, didn't matter, loved it because of the artwork. So I'm trying to give people, some nice little shots. I do some splash pages every now and then, because I know every now and then you want something big in your face. You want to be able to see pop. Like you want to see Frankenstein lift the Wolfman up in the air. Everybody's wanting that, and I'm like, I got to do that. Originally, when we had talked to Dark Horse about publishing this, and they actually took it to their committee and everything. It didn't get approved, so they didn't do it. But we were looking at that time, it was around 4 issues I had done. And I was telling them that, okay, if this is only going to be 4 issues, I've got to take away the last issue and put in there the big fight scene. Because everybody who buys this book, if they like monsters, want to see the monsters attack. They want to see them go after somebody and just attack all at once, right? And I said, I got to put that scene in there. Which I did in this 8 issues. Number 8, you will see Dracula, werewolf, creature, Frankenstein, the brides, the mummy. They're all going after this something, and they're killing everybody left and right. And I said, that's what you want. I mean, that's the scene. It's what is it? Rogue One, when Darth Vader walks down that hallway. That's what everybody wanted to see.
Yes.
So that's in there. I got that. And I think I got, I really hope people read all 8, because there's so many things in there that you won't realize till issue 8, that who's been pulling the strings, who's betraying who is everybody. It's just, I got some secrets in there, and I'm hoping they stick around to issue 8 to see it. If they don't read anything after that, at least I got them up to that one, to 8, but hopefully they will.
I love just how passionate you are about it, man. That don't sell these people on the book. I mean, you got me sold, but I mean, that don't sell these people, I don't know what else will, because
I need to make a video, because all I got up there is the trailer, and I talked about that. I want to make a video and just basically go over what I just went over with you and tell people about it, because man, I am passionate about it. I love it. I mean, it's so fun to do. I love drawing. Like if they give me a Superman cover, I love doing it. It's that's I jump up when I get up and out of the bed, because I'm like, I can't wait to go draw Superman. But when you're talking about your own thing, it's a little different. It's your baby, and it's like it's even more special. And that's why I'm just running in here and getting on my computer, going, okay, man, I'm ready to go to the next one. It's the feeling I think, George Lucas probably got when he started doing Star Wars, right? Empire, and continuing that story. That's always what I want to do as a kid. If I hadn't went into what I'm doing now, if I would probably went into filmmaking. I would love to make films and movies and stuff like that, but I wouldn't want to make my own, not someone else's. Because I have all these stories, man. Back when I played with action figures, I didn't play with G.I. Joe and Star Wars. I made them my own thing. I would turn them in. Han Solo never was Han Solo. He was, a character in one of my stories. So I've always done that since I was a little kid. And now finally, this is the first chance I ever get to actually share it with the world. And I'm just thrilled to death. I did on the back of the cards. If you ever seen some of my trading cards, I did it with Series 1. I did write-ups, of all the different characters. And I thought maybe people will like them. A lot of people may like, this is stupid. No, people loved them. And I'm like, well, if they love that, they're going to love this, because I'm actually explaining it. There's a scene, I'll give you this one, where Igor, which at first, when I started making my Igor, I was like, yeah, he's a throwaway character. I might kill him off. I don't really care for him. But Igor got better because of his story. I have it where you could see it in some shots of him. He has Igor written backwards on his head. And it's because, and it's on the trading card, but I'm actually going to show this in the comic, where Dracula pulled him to him and actually wrote it backwards, because Igor backwards is Rogi, and in Romanian, it means pray, like Pray. And he's telling him that, to remind him, he needs to pray that Dracula will not kill him, because he messed up when he wrote that on there. So it's things like that, like that. And then, Igor's, is he mad about that? Is he want to get back at Dracula? There's little things like that. I just love, that's why I wish I could go 50 issues. There would be so many backstories to each creature, each monster, right?
How development.
What's his story? I could do a whole 2 or 3 comics just on where did the mummy come from, my version of it. Where did the creature come from? So that's why I would love to keep it going. But we'll see. Hopefully things go good. If nothing else, if I do it just on Kickstarter once a year, I could get on Kickstarter, do it, and we'll just keep it going that way. If people like it.
Well, we happen to be sponsored by a comic book store. I'm just saying, we could probably get you some a couple stores.
Well, see, I really was going to add a tier. A lot of stores reached out. Really nice people said, hey, are you going to have a reward tier for comic book stores? And I kept thinking, like racking my brain, how do I do it? Because I was going to come up with just a retail version for them. And I was like, instead of doing that, I would rather just get it distributed, right? Just let's do a retail version that way and have it come through like Diamond or something. But I love comic book stores. Without them, I don't have a job. I don't, without the comic book stores, I'm not drawing Power Rangers. I'm not drawing Spawn. I'm not drawing Superman. So I really wanted to bring them on board. I tried to think of different ways I could incentivize comic book stores. I thought at one time I was going to do a thing where every person that would come over from a comic book store and back the project, if they put in their survey, like my comic book store is this one, and put it in the survey, for every 10, I was going to send that comic book store a free copy of the book, right? Any copy they wanted. And then I give them a bonus. If it's 50 people, then you get a bonus, 10 more issues, free, no shipping, nothing. I was going to ship it for them for free and all this. I talked to some comic book stores about it, and they said, nah, that's not a good idea. I'm like, okay. I'm just trying to give back. I thought maybe that would work. But I think the best way to reach the comic book shops is the distribution model through like Diamond, because then they'll love me to death if I put some good homage covers in issue 1, some new ones and they know they can sell those. They'll order the book. So hopefully we'll do it that way, and hopefully 2024 you will see a #1 of my Monsters book in comic book stores at some point. So that'd be a goal.
Well, we have held you here for about an hour. We always love talking with you. You're on the Kickstarter. Is there anywhere else you want to tell people where to find you at, or where they have access to you? All your platforms.
Instagram, it's Mark Spears Art just about everywhere. I think that's on Twitter or X. That's on Instagram. You can also reach them on Facebook like that. There's the Kickstarter. You could actually go to spearsmonsters.com. I think it'll take you to the Kickstarter. Usually it does. Sometimes that doesn't work on social media if you do it. But and then there's if you're looking for Christmas gifts, markspears.store. It takes you to my Amazon store. Or you can just look up Mark Spears stuff on Amazon or on Walmart. I'm on Walmart online too. Our trading cards just came out, the Series 2 and the Wicked of Oz ones last week. I got them all here at the house. I'm mailing them out. So if you need some Christmas ideas of what to get somebody, want some cards, send me a message if you can't find them online. But we're sending them to Amazon and Walmart this week. So they'll be there probably by next week. But man, I appreciate all you guys' support and everything, man. Y'all are awesome having me back on again. I love it. This is so fun. We'll have to do it again in 24.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And but yeah, man, thank you so much. It's been a blast. But I appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate having you here. Thank you so much. Everybody go check out Mark Spears Monsters 1 through 8 on Kickstarter. 91%. Let's get him up to 100, and let's do this thing.
All right. Well, thank everybody for sticking around with us for that interview. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And appreciate Mark coming on and talking to us about his new Kickstarter series. Remember, you can check that out at on Kickstarter to back it at under Spears Art LLC. It should be Mark Spears Monsters comic series. But with that, Hassel, I think that takes us straight into Nerd Out. So for anybody who hasn't been here before, this is part of the show where we ask random questions about the topics of the day and respond with little to no prep time. We would love to hear your responses to our questions in the comments as well. Or if you want to expand upon ours, please feel free to do that as well. So Hassel, I know you went first on Geek Week, so you want to go first here?
I'm letting you go first. I'm seeing what sparks my imagination.
Well, as I wasn't sure how deep we were going to get into the Kickstarter, I didn't go too deep on the monster side. But what I did want to do was say, we've got a lot of different stuff coming out right now, some different comic series, especially with like Godzilla having a new movie, and then you've got the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Different type of monster from what Mark typically draws, because most of his are more the universal classic type. But thinking about how we've got those crossover series going right now, and we did just talk to Mark about some of his monster designs and stuff. What type of monster crossover would you like to see take place with something else, and in what medium?
Well, they're always real hit and miss, to be honest. Let's face it. Some of the Universal monster movies, were your first foray into the verses or meets versus. However, some of those were really good, and some of them were stinkers. I think the only kind of modern one we've got at all was Freddy versus Jason, and let's just be honest, we got more of the campy Freddy and more of the robotic Frankenstein Jason, so it wasn't quite what fans anticipated, so to speak.
This is true.
I don't know. I really think a fun one could be like the Devil's Rejects versus Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because everyone's human, but they're all just psychopaths. You got two psychotic families. How would that work? I mean, of course, Rob Zombie is going to probably direct it and have his wife in 37 roles. But, aside from that, I feel like the Firefly family versus the Sawyer family, depending on which version of Texas Chainsaw you go with, that could be fun. Good. Fun in the right way. Not campy fun, but a good gory fun.
That's fair. I would tell you, I looked at it a little bit differently because I'm thinking, okay, what else besides a horror could some of these things cross over with? And I guess what sparked my thought on it was, honestly, I was looking at I did read the first couple of issues of the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, which, yes, I'm enjoying it because I like all those and I like the crossover. I don't really understand it because I'm like, and a lot of people point out like how strong Godzilla is. Like he whips Superman through buildings with one whip of his tail. I'm like, okay. But really and truthfully, as strong as Superman is, just fly up under and pick him up, throw him off the planet. How is this hard for this dude? You have to downplay what they are, but I think I would do something similar to that, and I would do like classic Frankenstein's monster crossover with Superman. And I don't think in a way in which they really fight that much, but it's more of a chance to show Superman's humanity. You think about it, you probably have him at first. Frankenstein's like, oh, it's another human. They're coming to destroy me. Fights with him, he grunts with him. He can't really talk, communicate because he hasn't learned how to speak and stuff. So there's probably a fight there, and then Superman sees that hey, he's just trying to get away.
The humanity in Clark would have to realize that this poor creature really isn't the villain because Frankenstein is never really the villain. Honestly,
it would be a very quick, like okay, he punches Superman once or twice. Superman pushes him back, probably shoots heat vision around him or something, and realizes he's scared of fire, and then all these villagers come out and try to join in and attack the monster, and that's where Superman has to defend them at that point, right? So it's like, okay, now the people would the people turn on Superman? Will they accept what he's saying? So I think you could do a short story of how he shows his humanity there.
I could dig that. How fun would it be if Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, would show up? Just Grundy and Frankenstein together in a panel would just be neat.
That would be really cool. And actually, they just did a really cool little thing. I saw where he was in the Justice Society book, which is crazy to me how that book is even still running because it was supposed to be a 12-issue maxi series to reintroduce the Justice Society since they kind of got rid of them and for the most part inside of New 52. And now they brought back some of their kids and they've introduced new characters of younger kids that were part of the Justice Society retconned in is like Jay Garrick's daughter who never had a daughter in the comics till all of a sudden now, but they've retconned it back in like, oh, she was taken and they forgot about her and this kind of stuff, which I'm not opposed to that if you're going to do something like that. But this book has been so random. This book was supposed to be done by the middle of this year and they're just now putting out issue 7. So I'm like, how are you still producing this? Because this book is so damn late. Everything that you started, it came out of, what was it? The last story, the Return to Flashpoint or whatever with the little snow globe and stuff that Bruce had and all. And I'm like, you came out of that. Nobody even remembers that anymore because this book is so delayed. Yet you're still pulling stuff from that. And I'm like, how? This should have been done. So but that's just a little aside for me on that because that's a point that I just cannot deal with on that one. But outside of that, I think that's before my voice completely goes out because I am still recovering. I think that brings us pretty much to a close this week. But before we leave, make sure everybody you go check out our guest, Mark Spears, his newest project on Kickstarter at Mark Spears Monster Comic Series under Spears Art LLC on Kickstarter. Go check that out. And then Hassel, tell everybody where they can find us at as well.
We're everywhere, people. You can find us on Spotlight Media. You can find us on where you will find us on Roku as well as Fire TV. You find us, most importantly, here on YouTube at our channel, The Nerdy Manroom Show. You can find us on Facebook, Hassel Hutchison via The Nerdy Manroom Show. Instagram, The Nerdy Manroom Show. We're on Threads now, The Nerdy Manroom Show. TikTok, the.nerdy.manroom. We're everywhere.
Don't forget to also check us out as part of Geek Network. What is it? Bluey is the name of it.
We are on Bluesky.
Bluesky, sorry. I don't know where I got Bluey from. That's a TV show.
It is.
But check us out there. We're part of Geek Network, and don't forget, if you're interested in joining Geek Network, we are still looking for more members to help with interviews and reviews. Check out the graphic here on the screen for all the details for how to apply to join. And while you're checking us out, as well as all of our Geek Network family members, don't forget to check out our extended Nerdy Manroom family member, Big Rob. You can find him on his channel of Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese
Food,
where he does fantastic movie reviews, especially of his Canon film series, and has been doing a lot of toy hunts lately, and I'm sure we'll be seeing another one pretty soon. But while
I need him to strike at gold this week, too, while he's out doing his toy hunts, because your boy still needs some stuff.
And if you can't find it on Big Al's toy hunts, go check out our sponsor, These Own Collectibles. We want to give them a big thank you for sponsoring us. You can find them on the internet at theseowncollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at These Own Collectibles, or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia, where if Big Al can't find it for you on his toy hunt, I'm sure you can find it at the Zone Collectibles. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And then with that brings us to a close. But check out our ending credits here. See some special shout outs to some of our friends and extended Geek Network family members. Their details should be in the closing credits. And join us here next time for a very special holiday themed episode. Until then, live nerdy and beware the monsters.